Let me check one. Everyone, there's a Mercedes in the parking lot with half of its headlights on. One of the two headlights. It's a newer Mercedes.
Good evening. It's wonderful to see everyone. And first of all, begin with prayers to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then I will, before we do sitting practice or meditation, I will give some Dharma teaching. And that's how we will begin. Om Lasenum Darajano Dube, Tajishujino Shubai, Sangichuda. Kuna Jasa Daja Tajishu, the Major Basit and the Nogo, Chabayba. Kuna Gumba Jajamaja, Lumbadar Basara Bedane, Simjadam. He sums a basset up double days and some debate ship away, they were Shupakula. Jambajano Badendoji, Cheres one Bojamepe, saying. Nimgenu Pacho Gunduzong, Ubeduji, Eganoshina, no good. Chhoje Rinpoche jo Chhoje Rinpoche chazalo chenje de jo boza yon kamala nyira dunda puzo bebe u menu gezo de je da jo je ge chaden je chudo je ba chi shin ge jo ma ge so zhe shi le mo ge la chazalo songba shimbo de jing se me bu mu do pa yu bo de nu me mi zo nam de si ze la ze ko lo da de sho lo Be wanted to shoot in the Sasum Nasukuluk to ship, she take go. Daja think the Java Zumbala get on your words of Wakunshi. The Dembebe some 2 Asian group Tashi de Lebusum Super Show, Daja think the get on your words of Wakunjini, the Dembebe some 2 Asian group Tashi did. Daja think the Java Zumbala get on your words of Wakunjini, the Dembebe. Tashi de Lebusum Super Show, Chumnan de Paragon Bushes in Chabayanoch. Gangilo to me doing it down, Dorzabe, Ching to go choose in Yucatu. Gondazabezara Marimundan, the wages of bed, to Sokono Pushi to say you know. To the Geronimo, you know, legacy, Marimus to one new witches. Then as a Jesuit of the Indian, as a guest to be good, you know. Dalum was a jumper, young lady, Umarabzano, the Marabzano, the Marab. Umarabzanadi, 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 Kurgum the dishes. Ubetana Sherbudatinum, Lebazamajameju, Ubojabe. Conzata Bardabaum, Chhoje to Bardona Young, Gobojami. Keme Payaton Warshu. Thank you. So this year has been a lot of things happened this year. My teacher passed away recently, like about 2 months ago. And then Chris Monson passed away, a wonderful lady who really shared with us Dharma teaching, and so it was, I felt like a big loss, those two great beings, my teacher and Chris passing away. But I guess so is the impermanence of life, that whoever is born finally has to die. And so does we too. We all have to, whoever is born finally has to die. Futility of life. Futility of life in a sense that if we can use our precious life in a meaningful way, as long as we live, we don't have a very long life as a human being. The most we live is probably 90 years or 100 years at the most. And the life is like a fleeting illusion. Life goes faster than the speed of light. I feel that. You can notice the speed of light in the sky, but how your life goes is difficult to watch. It's just going every second to every moment. And each moment passed, we get closer to death, not we lesser time to live on this earth. And that is one thing, lesser time to live on this earth. Then the question is, if we are born, and then our lifespan is whatever there is, 50 or 60 or 70, 100 years, then if things disappear after we die, that's a simple thing then. Not much of a fuss, just dissolve into air. But I'm afraid that, that's not the case. Our consciousness, our mind, immaterial, intangible, is not a solid form like an object that we can touch. It is an objectless, immaterial state of being. And that keeps going on and on. Awareness. And then it just takes a different form on one level, on a grosser level, like we have taken in this lifetime a human form. It's also very possible we could take an animal form or any other form based on our deeds, based on our actions, karma. The word karma is an ancient Sanskrit word, basically meaning action and reaction. Action. And any action has a reaction, cause and effect. So that's what is known as karma. So it's very important to, in Buddhist teaching, it emphasizes so much on investigation, reasons, asking questions. What causes karma? How karma begins? What's the root cause of karma? So it's not something like Buddha have given, you just have faith in me and just follow me. It's not enough. You need to use your intelligence and find out that, for example, how karma functions. So I would say the fundamental cause of karma is the expression of our mind. We all have expression. As if there is a consciousness, there's a perception, there's impulse, there's feeling. So the expression of the mind generally, that's what causes all our actions, physical action, mental action, speech action, are all called by expression of the mind. At the same time, mind also have a state which is called where the expression is stored, for example. The expression is to come from somewhere, it needs to be stored, for example. Like the building is stored upon this earth, for example. Same thing, the awareness or the expression is stored in emptiness or space. So emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. We automatically go to a sense empty means like nothing, and then something comes out. If that is the thing, there is problem. Because how do they communicate? How do they get in contact? The expression, there is something expression and there's empty nothing. So nothing and expression have no connection. So this space, what we call space, allow our expressions and all kinds of expression, positive expression, negative expression, speech expression, walking expression, sitting expression, all phenomenal expression is held in our mental space. So space and the expressions are indivisible fundamentally, actually. They are not divided into two states. And that is the problem that we always struggle in this dualistic extreme, when we fall into the extreme of, when we take the expression as something fixated, and then the other side of space as something nothingness. So we fall into the extreme of nothingness or somethingness. And that's a struggle we always go through in our life. Whatever we do, no harmony. The constant struggle we feel is not understanding the nature of the mind, not able to relate how to rest in its own nature, but rather going crazy like a headless chicken running after, like that happening in our life. So, therefore, why sitting practice meditation is so important to understand the nature of the mind, how we can rest and how we can connect to our own state of harmony. So now, what we are talking is the karma, how action comes. So mind is two aspects. One is the expression part, and one is the spatial part. So from this expression is what creates our joy, our suffering, all this phenomenal experience coming out of that creation, in a sense, our action-based, positive and negative, through the expression of the mind. So now, basically, that sums it up. Your whole mental state is the expression and the spatial part. And of course, we all know that no matter how much karma you create, action you create, and you can have a result of that action, whether it's good or bad, but it all ends. You see, there's nothing which can last forever. Mortality, impermanence. And in order to understand mortality, impermanence, it is not as simple when we say, oh, impermanence, something which is born, dies. It's much more simpler understanding of impermanence. But I think we need to step further back. What is the nature which creates impermanence? I think in that sense we need to understand the meaning of interdependence. Interdependence shows there's no fixated phenomena. There's no inherent quality. So when something changes, we get very shocked. We get hurt. We get let's say shock. But that's when we get that, is because we are so used to seeing things as fixated all the time. Something we try to solidify a space, for example. You cannot solidify a space, but somehow we tends to have this habit and seeing things as something very real, like inherent quality in each phenomena. So when we say white, blue, black, for example, we think there's inherent black, inherent white, inherent whatever we label as something inherent, permanent, eternal. And when things begin to change, we get the shock of our life in our relationship, in our own state, how we relate to ourselves, what we think of ourselves, what we think of our partners, our family, our friends, our society, our political candidates who we want to vote. The last election I voted for him, but not this time. Who changes? And those are big shock. It becomes shocking as a country, shock as a society, shock as a family, shock as an individual finally, and shock to oneself finally. Because we tend to look, everything is so fixated and looking at something real, but in fact, they are like change in nature because fundamentally it's interdependent. Is devoid of any inherent existence. The things comes and manifests in different aspects, but at the same time, it is utterly open. You cannot solidify. Nothing you cannot solidify. When you try to do that, you always get the smack back from the universe, things change. You know? And that's very hard for us to accept that. But that's how the nature of phenomena is like that. And so therefore, why the practice of meditation is so important, that we try to understand the essence of mind, essence of phenomena. And when we realize the essence of phenomena, we realize there is no reason for us to solidify. For example, in the sitting practice of meditation, you are asked to treat every phenomena as equal instead of making one more special and one more less special. Like normally we have a tendency to make positive thought as something to hold on to, and negative thought as something to disregard. And of course we need to change our habit and change our emotion. But when we get into that habit of solidifying, we become weak deep inside. That you always dependent on something versus the other, something to survive in the state, which creates hope and fear, which creates in your mind something when it's positive thinking, this is good, but the moment you think this is good, there's a fear of something else might replace that thought. So there's the fear. So in that regard, that thought that you begin to hold on to, as you begin to see this as something precious, as something special, at the same time, it has a fault because it's fear that it may be replaced by something that you may not like. So therefore, you have to be fearless approach of seeing the basic space, and without seeing the basic space, we tend to have that dualistic approach to phenomena. So therefore now, when we talk about and when we investigate and look into this kind of nature, how phenomena manifest, the questions come then really is something confusion or something ignorant that we're missing to seeing things as they are. Definitely, confusion, the problem with the confusion and ignorance, it doesn't say, oh, I'm confused now. You don't know when you're getting confused. It's like it permeates your emotions, whether in the waking states or whether in the sleeping states. It's like permeates all the time. And so therefore, it would have been very simple if the confusion said, now here I am, now I'm confused. That would have been very easy, but that's not the case. So a way to recognize and learn about oneself is definitely through study, through practice, and most important about the mind, then sitting practice is the most powerful and most important. Without sitting practice, you cannot intellectualize the rawness of their mind, the confusion of their mind, as well as the enlightened quality of their mind. It has to come within itself. You cannot just make things up. And the moment you make things up, you're far away from the truth, in fact. You're not there. You're just like, your sense of fixation, I would say, or sense of ego, or sense of fixation would take place right on the spot. It's so slippery. It's so slippery, this ego fixation. It can use any material, any simple thoughts, feeling, perception to instantly come back and hold itself on the ground and get fixated. So it will take a while for us to sit. Why sitting practice is so important. And as I've used this, Milarepa, the great yogi of Tibet, his student, Gampopa, the last teaching he gave was, he went to give all the teaching, and then when he went to say goodbye, in Tibetan style, we were dressed like this, not like blue jeans in Tibet, not those, or pants. And then when he went to say goodbye, he said, I've got one more teaching to give you. And Gampopa was shocked. What is the teaching he has to give me? He's given me everything. And he showed up his ass with all the calluses. I said, you got to sit this much, meditate to realize. So, it's true. And you have to, because only when you sit, meditation is, in the Buddhist tradition, philosophies you learn in college, in university, there's great university like Nalanda University in India, Bikramashila University, and today also there are many great universities. But then the practice of meditation, that you learn through the instruction of the teacher. You learn to sit in your home or in the mountains, retreat place, in a Dharma, in a spiritual center. Then you learn to meditate by not judging your mind as you instructed in the practice of meditation, but just watching and then sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. At some point, then you are able to have a glimpse of confusion. When there's a glimpse of confusion, you begin to see that is the beginning that you can be free from this cyclic existence. So, for example, the glimpse of confusion in confusion itself. You see, in the Mahayana teaching, Vajrayana teaching, basically in Buddha Dharma, that every being has basic goodness. It's called Buddha nature, in Latin quality. No being is bad to begin with. Every being has fundamental basic goodness. And of course, when you study something on the, like in Buddhist university, you can go through the study of like interdependent, which is devoid of any inherent fixation, is free of any stains. You can have an intellectual understanding of that basic goodness. But then when you sit and meditate, then it's like your nature is like a gold. For example, when people extract the gold from the earth, there is some stain because it's been in the earth for so long time. There is water or some, But that stain, when it's taken to a goldsmith, he or she puts fire and removes the stain from outside. It's not inherent quality of the gold. It's just like, like when we do, the silver is standing outside, then it gets stained and you bring the silver polish and the stains remove. Similar to that, mind nature is like a pure, but there is like, it's called lupurkitima in the Tibetan word, like adventitious, I think English translations are written adventitious defilement. Though it's not part of the inherent quality of the mind, but like the stain is not the quality of the gold, but it's just like being in the earth for so long, there is some kind of stain that can be easily removed by once the goldsmith, how he or she handles that. Same thing, that level is called the first glimpse of fundamental confusion or ignorance. It's confusion, it's ignorance, it's able to obscure the true face of reality of one's mind, that mind which is free, but seems like trapped in this cyclic existence. So that first level of ignorance. Then there is second level of ignorance. Then there's third level of ignorance. So each one has to experience directly, needs to have a glimpse to see that. And then, for example, when we talk about ignorance, it's not just one thing. It's from subtle level to a more advanced level to a very advanced level. Like it's like, nothing builds up just like in one way. Like it all takes from 1 to 10. From number 1 to 10, so there is in between, there is 9, there is 8, there is 7, 6, 5, 4. So ignorance levels is also like that, from a subtle level to then gradual level to then its reach, its top level. So for example, by the time when you see you are caught in some kind of confusion, already many subtle levels build up. You think, oh, this particular perception, particular thought, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. By the time when you think that, oh, I'm wrong, or I'm confused, already many subtle levels that you are unknown to that nature is built up. So when you begin to see in meditation, for example, yes, I'm getting, for example, there's nothing wrong in having sense of any kind of thoughts. No, it's totally innocent in a way. Whether it's good, if you can just see the good or bad thoughts are just simply a label, none of them can have occupied your mind or dominate your mind or you be influenced by your mind. But since our habits have been so prolonged in this cyclic existence, habituated, we instantly react to that. So whether it's fear of flying or fear of this or fear of that, and people when they do sitting practice meditation, then people come out of fear of flying or fear of this, fear of that, because now you are more able to handle instead of getting instantly caught into that. There's gap, there's space, and you're able to heal yourself, you're able to purify yourself, you're able to move forward in your life. You can see how much benefit and profundity changes come into your life from that through the sitting practice of meditation. So therefore, so it's a gradual state. By the time you recognize something, I've been caught, that level for most beginner level can only able to have a gap or able to free themselves, which is still great because not many people even have that glimpse. Most ordinary people in the street, they live with their mind all the time. They don't even see what's going on or able to free from that cycle. Constantly a continuation of awareness going in one stream of happening all the time. So now you can imagine if from a gross level, how we can relate to their mind on a subtle level, fundamental goodness, on a fundamental level of Buddha nature, fundamental level of mind itself, the wisdom mind, what we would call wisdom mind which is devoid of confusion. That would take a while for us to realize. But it's there. It's not something, it's inherent quality of yourself. You don't have to buy it from there, you don't have to bring it. It's there within you, which is called Buddha nature. Buddha means awakened nature. But as long as we don't realize the awakened nature, we are trapped in this cycle and unending. And that's where our suffering problem is. Our suffering continues. Since we all try to be free from suffering, but suffering is not going to go away just by wishing for that or by just simply making a simple prayer, but rather you have to bring your awareness to deal exactly how to work with that. So meditation practice is very powerful. How you deal with that. You see the thoughts, and at some point, like for example, if you do sitting practice or meditation in the morning time, And the whole day, the effect will stay to some point. There's a more sanity, more gap, more purification, more healing, during the daytime, rather than become one with that. Because you have a glimpse. You may be missing the glimpse, but the glimpse is coming, like there's a light coming through it. So therefore, meditation is very important. And the other thing very important in our life, day to day, warm-heartedness, compassion is very important. Now that's come from the expression of the mind. Even sitting practice is expression, but it goes more deeper to the spatial aspect, ground, basic ground. Now compassion is more like action. And compassion can be also like paramita. The absolute bodhicitta is more on this spatial part of our awareness. But day-to-day living, good-hearted compassion is very, very important for us to train. Because your happiness depends on your compassion. You have no compassion, your mind is filled with aggression, you have no happiness at all. Your surroundings have no happiness, your friends and family have no happiness, and you yourself have no happiness. Very clear if you look. So therefore, practice of compassion is very important, and it will be supported for you to grow, for you to open, for you to experience the joy through meditation and compassion together. Your skill will be also different. Instead of your mind directed by negative habits all the time, self-centered, your mind will be more open. More people can dance in your space instead of you alone being lonely dancing. Really. So therefore, we also know through our day-to-day life experience, our relative life experience, happiness, all comes from wishing and affection of other people, our parents, our friends, families, our society, comes from that. As well as others also receive your environment, your friends and family also experience happiness from your affection, and you experience from their affection. Without each other's affection, there's no happiness also at all. You'll be lonely. And that's one of the things that we experience in this country, a lot of loneliness. Our society is moving so fast, too much individualism, too much self-centered. It's kind of like a bad karma, if I use one word. Like everyone is so busy, nobody has any time for nobody. That's called bad karma. I'm sorry to say that. Really, I shouldn't laugh, but it's kind of like that, And this is how things in nature happening in today's life. In some way, we as a human being, we have progressed in 21st century, in 20th century, but we also lost innocence much faster than earlier period. I heard like in Tibet in 1930s, when they're like 17, 18 years, people go and play. Today, a little child from like 5, 6 years old, they have so much responsibility, study. They lose this innocence. They have to work so hard for survival. Instead of survival is being relaxed and happy and joy and innocence they can express. They're more responsible. I heard in Japan, this like early 12 years, 13 years, high rate of suicidal because so much time to study. Same thing happening in China. I think same thing here too, I suppose, everywhere. Too much responsibility. So in a way, we see, all this artificial intelligence, but all this is creating more pressure, more pressures for success in life, and losing innocence and losing joy in another way. So it's definitely not a good karma from that point. So now how do we create a positive environment? It's compassion. Try to practice compassion, learn about compassion. You have to learn about compassion also, because we don't know what compassion means. One of the best books to learn about compassion is Bodhichara Avatara Teaching by Shantideva. There isn't any greater book in this world. Once you read it, you will know what it meant. Like depth of, like he speaks on the level of generosity, level of ethics, level of patience, level of diligence, level of samadhi, level of wisdom, prajna. Each one of them emphasized so deep that we need in our life for us to be happy and free. We need that. Without that, we don't know how to deal what compassion means. Sometimes we think compassion means something, I have a better life than you have, so I have pity on you, or something, kind of looking down. That's not compassion. Then even you may have a situation like that, but your situation can change too. And then you'll be on that same spot. And then the suffering will continue. Therefore, we need to learn much more what is compassion and what is, how to bring that into practice of meditation. So these two things combined is very important, compassion and meditation. Now, if you just want to live a very simple life, Buddha Dharma is like a grand buffet. You can choose many different styles of spiritual practice. Those who need enlightenment, there's a different level of practice. Those who need to be just living a good life, you go to 9 to 5 works, and then you come back and you just want to live, some kind of simple life. You can just create good karma, that's good enough. But if you want to go beyond, deeper into your mind, purify deeper your defilements, and develop your wisdom, want to get out of this cyclic existence, then you need bodhicitta, then you need meditation, then you need to go deeper. So there are all the different levels. Then there's the Hinayana level, then there's the Mahayana level, Vajrayana level, Mahamudra level, Dzogchen level. So many different grand buffet. That's what I mean by you can choose which is your aspiration, which fits your aspiration. But overall, we all sentient being want happiness. None of us wants suffering. None of us wants any conflict. On that level, we should all practice compassion, really equanimity. When we practice compassion, the first part in the bodhicitta practice, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable kindness, immeasurable rejoice, immeasurable equanimity. Equanimity is the first step. Like myself, I want happiness, I don't want suffering. All is equal. Regardless of our background, regardless of our sex, regardless of our tribe, regardless of religion. Every being, religion is just labeled. In fact, we, like myself, I don't want a tiny bit of suffering, others are same. And when we begin to expel that, then we really begin to, we can come out unbiased compassion, not biased compassion. Biased compassion is based on ego. And anything to do with ego is very limited, and there is stains in that. So therefore, first and foremost is the unbiased compassion, equanimity, practice in equanimity. Then after that, once you really begin to meditate on equanimity of compassion, like all beings, not only human beings, but animals, creature, any sentient, you begin to have a respect. And then you transform, and your karma change, and your life change. Your inner happiness begin to come into your life. That's how you begin, through mind training, through practice of bodhicitta practice, compassion practice, equanimity. I love my same, I'm Buddhist, you're Buddhist, so my first preference is you. No, that's not how it should be. All beings, regardless of their religion, sex, tribe, whatever, all beings want happiness, all beings have the right of happiness. Then we have respect, non-violence. That's the first step, how to practice on compassion. So then the immeasurable compassion would be those who are suffering, how you can remove them from the suffering. Kindness, those who are happy, how you can further, increase their happiness. Rejoice, instead of jealousy and instead of envy, how you can rejoice in others' happiness, in others' wealth, in others' positive qualities, and how you can rejoice that. In that way, you become very rich, and you become free of stains of ego and negative habits, and you become finally out of this cyclic existence of samsara. So this is very logical, actually, very practical. This is what we all want, but we don't really focus because our habits and ego is so strong, they're so used to that, that we just get under that influence, and now we need to change that. So that's Dharma practice. There's no other Dharma practice than that. That is Dharma practice. And then earlier I talked about the solidifying space. It's interesting. You see how the confusion of mind creates this artificial sense of space. While we live the true sense of space, and we live in artificial sense of space. It's like you're in Montana. For example, if you're in Montana, it's a big sky, we call the big sky state. And then let's say you have 1 acre of land in Montana, and you have some space, but your space is defined by your boundary. So you need to increase your space. You buy it in 2 acres, then 500 acres. Then when you see somebody has like 20,000 acres, you feel your space is small because you're defining your whole space based on a fence. This is how things are happening in our mind all the time. So there's something that we need to notice. So then, now let's do a sitting practice of meditation. So in meditation, you sit straight. Your body should be straight and relax. Your chin should not be up nor down. Completely relax. And then once you are relaxed, Then you breathe from your nose. Breathing is natural. There's nothing special here you have to do. But you focus to your breath. Normally your mind just goes away. A thought arises, it will just takes you away. But here, when a thought comes, you focus to the breath. We're breathing in and breathing out, Just to that breath, very gently, nothing hard, no, just like completely rest and just watch your mind and don't go after your thoughts, whether it's good thought or bad thought. Just treat them equally. You just saw it and let go. Don't cling to that. If you cling, for example, there's a saying in the technique of meditation teaching, if a black dog bites you and a white dog bites you, the injury is same. There's no difference. White dog injury is better, black dog injury is worse. No, both the same injury. So both thoughts, if a positive thought you regard, kind of like you grasp to that, get fixated to that, and as I said, there will be many hopes and fear. Everything will arise from that. So in practice of meditation, you treat equally. It's not like a prayer you're doing, may the whole world become white or pure, or may all beings get blessed. You're not doing that. You're doing on a very deeper level to cleanse your mind. Whether a positive thought comes, you just saw it's just a thought. Negative thought comes, or it's also just a thought. And you go back to the breath. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just simply sit with the breath. When you breathe out, breathe in, just your mind is with the breath. That's it. So that's how you do meditation. And then if you get too much thought arising in meditation, don't try to stop the thought. If you try to suppress the thought, it will kind of like get even stronger. If you completely let loose with the thought, then you'll be distracted. So you have to find the balance. And to find the balance, whatever the thought arises, you just allow it. You don't try to suppress your mind, suppress your thought. And when you allow that, it's like a ripples of water. Ripples comes and they dissolve. Ripple comes and they dissolve. Whatever thoughts come, they will dissolve. It has to dissolve. It is no other place to go. So you allow that. Normally what we do when thought arises, we fight against thought. We try to put this thought here, put that thought here, so many compartments. And then they're all locked, and then they're all banging the door, and you're getting crazy. So you don't want to do that. Just whatever thought arises, like a ripples of water, allow that, it will come and it will dissolve by itself. Okay, so we will do meditation. It's easy for you to do that, but just rest your mind with the breath. In meditation practice, the example is you need to learn how to, it will take time for the mind to settle down. So therefore, sometimes in your own home, weekend meditations are very good. Or like during a weekend, like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of meditation, then in that way your mind will settle down. In order to settle down, you should remember this phrase. It is, for example, if you're walking on the beach and you see a very muddy water, you want to clear the muddy water, you try to bring a shovel or with your hand, it will get more muddy. So how do you do? How to settle that muddy water? You don't do anything. You just let it settle by itself, and then the muddy water will clear away. You will see the stones and pebbles and fish and everything clearly. Same thing, the way to deal with the mind, you don't stir the mind. You just allow the mind, and it will settle by itself. When you do in the right posture, it's important to sit in the right posture, and then once you do the sitting practice, at some point, the mind will settle by itself. Then you will have peace and clarity. And then, of course, many obscurations and defilements will be purified, and the wisdom will grow. And so that's how you do sitting practice meditation in that way. Let the mind settle down by itself, not by stirring, but by itself. So any questions you have? We will have discussion here.
Hi. Yeah, so how do we know when to redirect and when to just let it set?
Say that again.
How can we judge when to maybe redirect our mind by giving it a prompt to get out of a stuck place, maybe? Or versus when to just let it settle? Because that's a very useful instruction, but sometimes it seems useful to redirect or to insert a prompt of some sort.
As far as redirecting, don't worry about it. It will redirect right away. We need to learn how to settle the mind. Because, for example, like meditation and post-meditation, right? Or when you're sitting, it's meditation state. So after this session is over, when you get up, it will redirect automatically. 5 sense object, form you will redirect, sound you will redirect, it will reactivate itself. But then, the benefit is, normally when we get, however you call redirect or reactivated, we get fixated and all of our afflictions, and then the mind gets so stirred up, there's so much pain and suffering arises in many situations. So now, after the meditation, even you redirect, you begin to see things like ripples, you focus, of course you're doing it, you're drinking coffee, you're not throwing away your coffee, you will drink, if you want tea, you will definitely choose tea instead of coffee. But that doesn't mean that now you are not redirecting anything and you become like a vacuum. That doesn't happen. But you will not be fixated, you will not be stuck, and you will not have the afflictions, emotion arising in your mind. That may come, but lesser compared to before. So you have more sanity versus insanity, and more joy, and more freedom, more openness. So that's so. Don't worry about reactivation. At this point, you need to be worry more about settling down. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were raising your hand. Could you raise your hand again? Excellent.
Hi. So earlier you were talking about how everything is mortal, nothing is permanent, including life. But I was wondering if consciousness is mortal or if it's permanent.
So talking about, of course, that's a good question. When we talk about mortal or immortality, everyone wants to know immortality, and there are many history, you know, is certain, I think in Asia, their history, there's certain kings try to find immortality and this and that. But one thing, let me tell you, you know, my recent experience with my teacher that I'd like to share with you. My teacher was one of the greatest meditation master of Tibet. And including His Holiness Dalai Lama received teaching from him on meditation teaching. And so, so when he passed away, before he passed away, I was there in hospital with him in New Delhi. And he told me, whether I live or I don't live, my mind is very happy. And same thing I'd like to share when Chris Monson, when she was dying, I have a conversation with her a few times. She said, Rinpoche, I have cancer in my body. You know, she got serious cancer. But my mind is very happy, she said. I don't know, very happy. She said, very peaceful, very happy. She's been a great practitioner, I know, for many years, and student of a great teacher, Chhoje Rinpoche, who was her teacher. And so then in the case of my teacher, I asked Rinpoche, you have to live long for the benefit of all being. Because without the great Dharma teachers, the world will be dark. So I request him, and he said, whether I live or I don't live, personally, my mind is very happy. But then he looked around in the ICU, people around, and he was feeling so much concern for their well-being and how people's mind are distracted, how we allow it to be distracted. It's one thing to be distracted and how we allow, isn't it? That's kind of like frivolous. That's kind of irresponsible. We can use whatever the words. But really, when he was seeing how people, he said, people waste so much precious time, he said. He told me again and again how people waste their precious life. And then the reason that people are suffering then, get caught up in their delusion. And he was feeling so much concern of that. And so that was a very powerful experience. And then when he was about to pass away, his breathing got very difficult. So I was with his niece. And for her, Rinpoche was like a father, and also his niece. So I have to comfort her. But I said, we need to make plan A and plan B. Plan A for Rinpoche to live long, we, the best care and taking care of him to live long. Plan B, when enlightened beings die, they go in meditation state. In relation to your questions of mortality and immortality, they go in meditation state. We know that in Tibet, how it happens to very great enlightened beings. So being in a hospital where there is so much invasive injection and then they put the heart resurrection, it will disturb them from that meditation. So I told her we have to take him back to home when the doctor says there's nothing they can do. So they said the only option now is to put ventilator. And ventilator, the doctor said only one person lives. Nobody wants, when somebody is on ventilator, the survival rate is almost, it's nil. You can just have someone artificially living, but natural life is no longer there. Then I said, so doctor also said there's nothing they can do. Then I said, we need to take him back home. And we asked Rinpoche, he was very aware. And then we took him that morning, and then 9:30 around that time in the morning, we took him to the home, and then around 1:50 at night, the same day he passed away. When he passed away, we know called Tugdam, in Tibetan word Tugdam means, now the primordial wisdom, if you read the Tibetan Book of the Dead, right now it's difficult to explain in a short span of time, but it's called the clear light mother and child, for example. We all have a fundamental nature, the enlightened mind. That's like the mother. When a person dies, the dissolution of four elements, our earth element dissolved into water, water dissolved into fire, fire dissolved into air, air dissolved into space, each one step by step. And as a result, when that happens, physical heaviness, dryness, thirst, and then inside, emotion-wise, lighter, people couldn't recognize who they are. They're losing touch with the basic solid ground of earth element. So emotional, inner emotional level, external element, they're all different experience when a person goes to the death. And then finally, then their fathers, when we are born, when we are conceived, their father's semen, which is here, and the mother's, we can call semen, whatever, this in the navel, the red blood, essence, and the white. And when they comes down, melts down, the father one, there's a whitish experience. And then when the mother's semen, when it comes up to the heart, it's a reddish experience. When they both mingle together, there's a blackout. At that time, consciousness leaves the body. For most ordinary people, it can be depends on person, 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 1 day to 2 days, maximum 3.5 days. As a sign of consciousness living out, a secretion will come out of the nose. That's how one. But when an enlightened being, those who enlighten, when they die, when that happens, since the dawn of enlightenment, it comes to every being because it's the fundamental nature of all mind. The moment it mingles together, it's a flesh at that time. And it's so fast, those who have not meditated, not recognized their nature in this lifetime, it will just like a split of a second and then gets distracted. And then again, the wind of the karma will take wherever the next birth will follow. But in the case of enlightened being, when that happens, they remain in meditation. So we know that's going to happen. We lock the door because he says no incense, no prayer, no sound should be, make noise to disturb them from meditation. So he was like this. So we open after 24 hours, same, color of the facial color, same. 48 hours, same. Not a single smell from the body. No like extraction from the body coming out. Because the clinically dead, but awareness is there. So there's a very slight warmth, it says usually on the heart level. If you should watch the documentary on the 16 Karmapa passing away in Chicago. It's called the Lions Row movie. It's very fascinating how his disciple Chhoje Rinpoche brought the medical doctors and how he was in meditation. So normally, ordinary person, when they die, within 24 hours, the body will smell, the excretion will come out, and no balming. We didn't put no balming, no injection. In that heat in New Delhi, like 80s or 90s, no smell. First 24 hours, 48 hours, then third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, not a single smell coming out of the body. And the body intact, vibrant, like in meditation. That's when the mind gets into awareness. Like, that is what, if you want to call it immortal, that's immortality, not the flickering mind. That, yes, the essence of consciousness is wisdom. The wisdom is immortal, but not the flickering mind, because that changes the form. So anyway, I was amazed. I know this by seeing, but it's the first time I've witnessed something like that. Every day we would go and open the door, and then we did. It is said that when the great beings are in meditation, when they die, and if you sit next to them, it clears. When you meditate, it clears many confusion in your mind. It's obviously it was very powerful sitting next to him. So no color, facial expression, the radiant, everything same. And in fact, there was no smell. I asked his nephew, can you smell underneath his armpit? Is there any smell? When he smelled, there was a flower scent. This is amazing, just like. And then his medical doctor, after 1 week, then finally his texture changed. Until that time, nothing coming out. Because ordinary people, when they die, everything will come out within 24 hours. And also another way of checking one is called Tugda, meditation or not. You pinch the skin. If a person is dead, completely, of course one is dead. But here, ordinarily, if the skin stays up, one is dead. If the skin's pinched down, goes down, one is alive. So every day we check, it goes down right away. It's meditation awareness. This was extraordinary. Like remaining for 7 days, 8 days. His medical doctors in India have never seen anything like that. The doctor, because it was, from a legal point of view, we have to report right away to, concerned officials, bureaucrats. And if you do that, they're going to come and say, you're going to take out, and we cannot allow that. So then we talked to his doctor, and I said, is it possible you can write down not the day he died, after he come out of meditation? He was just so amazed. He said, anything you want me to write, I will write, he said. So then after 8 days, then he has many disciples in Darjeeling, Sikkim, in Ladakh, India. So then we took his body all the way to his monastery. After 8 days, then we made the casket. Then we put salt. No injection, no balming, nothing as it was. Then we put salt, a special way of how to preserve the body. And then we drove for like 1 week. It's quite something. 1 week we drove. It takes about 1 week to get to his monastery. And then finally the body is there, and since I'm Rinpoche's main disciple, he told me to do the right thing, how to deal with everything. So people have, I thought so many disciples from around the world would like to come and pay respect, so we decided to keep his body for 1 year. So it's preserved there right now. So cremation will happen after 1 year. So it's just an amazing signs in the sky, like beautiful flowers, and really when the great enlightened being passed away, what it really shows me, I'm sharing this with you, the sense of immortality, the awareness, enlightened mind that we all have. And when, of course, when we are caught up in dualistic confusion, then they just comes and goes, and then we take another birth and comes and goes, like that. So it was quite extraordinary experience that every being has enlightened quality. And if that is really able to actualize that in this lifetime, what amazing signs are there when extraordinary. So like that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
And normally when people, when your loved one dies, there's sadness, there's crying, but nothing. Whoever comes feel joy in their awareness. I was thinking, what kind of person I am? Here my teacher dies, I'm not crying, nothing. And his niece also. She said, everyone coming this feels joy and happiness in that enlightened wisdom mind circle. Really very, very different. I know this kind of thing happened, but to experience this and see it myself was quite something. So I want to share this with you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. There's one question online as well, Rinpoche.
Yes.
How does recognizing the alaya of habits help to awaken one's rigpa?
Well, gradually, step by step. First one is to do, as we're doing, shamatha meditation, then vipassana meditation, pointing out instruction, what is wisdom mind, pointing out instruction. And of course, a person has to have a lot of positive merit. It's not easy to realize enlightened mind because not that we don't inherently have that quality, but so much negativity that if we let's look in 24 hours, how many sense of ego, sense of self-centered, sense of affliction, anger, jealousy, all these creates habits of obscuration, what is basically called defilement, obscuration. So they pollute our essence. It's like a polluted city with all the environment. Then we can't see the streets, we can't see, everything get polluted. Degradation of our plants and trees. And same thing to the mind. When so much obscuration, we get like covered. We couldn't have a glimpse, as I said. Confusion doesn't say, here I am confusion. That will be easy for us to recognize. It just permeates in our emotion, our thoughts, during the day, during the night. So the only way is to really have mindfulness and meditation and practice of compassion. Then we can purify, change that, and slowly we will come out of that darkness. So that's the only way. Otherwise, it's not going to happen if we allow this mind to just sink inside. Only you can save yourself. Finally, no one can do that. There's a saying, when you're dying, if you pray, please save my soul, that is too late. So you got to do it now. You got to awaken now. That's why Chhoje Rinpoche was saying, don't waste time, don't waste time. He was saying, and just before he died, a few months before, Rinpoche was so concerned of the Ukraine war, all these wars happening, he was praying. And then he would see in the neighborhood, there was some construction work going on, and he was seeing all these laborers working so hard. He was praying for them, sensing their suffering. So like tremendous compassion arising. And that compassion is arising. I want to say this again. Not again, I think the first time I'm telling you. That compassion not arising, hey, I'm better, you are there. See, one way how ego mind look at other person, there are three ways. Anyone equal to oneself is competitiveness. A little bit higher than yourself, you are jealous. A little bit of jealousy. Doesn't have to, you don't have to know them much. Moment you see, oh, I don't like, he doing this, she doing this. There's jealousy. Among, men, there's who is stronger, who is less stronger. All kinds of crazy thoughts. Among women, when they were, who's got a bigger diamond earring? My one is a little bit bigger than her, or smaller. All kinds of crazy things, competitiveness. I'm just using an example. Anyone lower than us, we look down at them in some way. That's the nature of ego mind. It's a false mind, how we have fixated that. Every being has that. That's how all the flaws pile up. All our obscuration, our defilements, habits pile on that. Now, obviously, how you are trapped in that. So only you can come out of that. No one can do that for you. That's why you need to do the practice of Tonglen meditation practice, Shamatha meditation practice. You need to come out. Only you can make it come out. No one can do that for you. Your teacher can guide you, you can read the books, but you got to sit, you got to do that, otherwise nothing will happen. So therefore, then step by step, then pointing out instruction. So even instruction are given. It's there are a lot of not easy to remove ignorance and confusion, because it's going to challenge you to the last moment to hold you back, make you small. That's really what it does. For example, if you have to go to a retreat, those who go to like formal retreat, all kinds of things will stir up. Oh, this is happening, that is happening. Oh, I can't do it, I need to postpone. Oh, this and that, all kinds of things will happen. But normally nothing happens. Because, the negativity is like some kind of force seeing that you are going to be out of that cycle and trap, so they're trying to pull you back. And so what requires is the merit. The practice of compassion is the ultimate way to increase merit. It brings you strength, it brings the energy, it brings like the protection that you can do the right thing and you can move forward. Without that kind of compassionate practice, your mind is not very strong and lack of merit, what I would call. So compassion is the very powerful way of increasing our merit all the time. Yeah.
One more question, Rinpoche.
Yes?
Does it matter how long we sit in meditation in the morning? For example, is 40 minutes better than 20 minutes? Or should we just do what we're able to do?
Well, sit until you have calluses on your ass. Just joking. I definitely, please, beginning level, shorter meditation interval is more important for beginners. Because if you stay too long, your mind will get sink into boredom. And then you will not do it. Or, sometimes it will go easy. Some days it may not go not easy. But so at the beginning, if you do like about 5-10 minutes, but don't talk. And then get up, take a fresh air. Your mind is much more free. And then you sit down, your meditation will go easy. If you do like a long session in one shot, it will be difficult. So that you should see each person is different. You should check yourself. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So then, I'm very happy tonight seeing everyone, and I have to go out of the town and I have to come suddenly for some emergency purpose, and then after like a month or so, I'll be back, and then I plan to stay for a while, and then we can all do sitting and lead retreat and like that. So in the meantime, please everyone do practice on compassion, sit and meditate, and have your mind ease and rest. My teacher, His Holiness Chhoje Rinpoche, used to say, always have your mind at ease, no tension, no, because even if you go crazy, it's unnecessary. Nothing will happen, nothing will change by going crazy. In fact, if you're open and relaxed, all the wonderful things will come out and make your life bring full of joy and happiness. Yeah. So let's do a world peace prayer now. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues,
Qualities, merit, and
prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience,
and thus defeat the neurosis, negative actions which are the enemies.
From the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death.
From the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. I think we just set a record since COVID for attendance for how many people are here and online. Okay. So please return quickly, Rinpoche, to give us more teaching. So while everybody is here, my name is Jim. If I haven't met you, I'm one of the directors of the center. And it's... Huh? Okay. It's an exciting time for the center because we've just rebuilt our whole volunteer structure. Programs we've ever had. So I just want to go through a couple of the upcoming programs. If you didn't know about them, they're all on the website, so you don't have to feel like you have to write them down right now. So we have a children's program, and the children's program is not just for your children, but if you have nieces and nephews or grandchildren, we encourage you to bring them. So it's starting on January 7th. It'll go for 12 weeks, every other Sunday, and it goes from 11 a.m. until noon. So we hold it in the community room downstairs. So the kids are down there, they learn about compassion, meditation, they learn some songs, there's some art projects, and then you can come up here and practice while they're downstairs. So please take advantage of the program. We've done one session already, and it was really well received. Second is Brendan Kennedy. He's one of the meditation masters of our center. He is teaching on January 11th, which is a Thursday night, so he'll lead the Thursday night. It'll be both, he'll be online. He lives in California, but you can please come to the center. It's a beautiful center to listen to teachings, and so we'll have a projector set up so you can listen to Brendan teach. And then the rest of that weekend, Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, he'll be leading meditation instructions. We're doing Soak twice coming up. So on January 6th is Dakini Day, and then on January 20th, which is a weekend, actually they're both weekends, but January 20th is Guru Rinpoche Day. And so there's been a lot more people coming to Soak, which is really exciting. And on the weeknight, we tend to go a little faster because everybody is coming from work and it's a longer practice. On the weekends, we tend to go a little bit slower and we'll take time to answer questions. So a lot of people have been asking Genevieve and I how they can do Soak at home. And so this would be a time. January 20th is a good time to come and we can stop and you can ask any questions and we can help you with the practice. Also, it's really exciting. So one of our Sangha members is a Tibetan doctor, and her name is Nishala. And she's done one program here in the past, but it was before COVID. And so she's going to be leading 2 teachings coming up. One is on February 24th, just for one night. And then the other one is March 8th and 9th. And there's a whole, I would ask Rinpoche to give a little more instruction on Tibetan medicine is not just about medicine, it's also about how to use our channels and essence to improve our practice. So she's going to be teaching on how do you use food and how do we root out the 3 poisons and how do we integrate this Tibetan medicine into our own practice. So please attend those, they're going to be wonderful. Last but not least is if anybody is not on our email list, that is our primary way of communicating. And there's an email sign up just on the outside of the shrine room doors on a table on the right. So please sign up there. We promise we won't spam you. It's only stuff that's going on with the center. And then on our website, I should say that this center is 100% volunteer. There are no paid members of the organization. And you can probably imagine how much it costs to keep this building running. In the last year, we've seen our insurance costs increase 30% just because that's what's going on in the world. Nothing that happened here, but insurance went up, energy costs went up. We're really happy that we got Rinpoche the best healthcare program that money can buy, but those are all increased costs. And membership is our #1 way to keep the center open. So you can become a member for as little as $5, as much as $1 million every month. So you can choose. And then lastly, Rinpoche offers these teachings for free on Thursday nights, but it's wonderful if you can make a donation, and there's a donation box right outside the door next to the bookstore. And the bookstore is open right now, so if you want to go in and check out what we have to offer, we would love for that. So thank you again. Thank you, Rinpoche. Travel.